Hey everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show. But today is a special one. I get to interview Max Brosmer, Gophers quarterback, after a thrilling victory over number 11th ranked USC. We're going to head to campus and see what he has to say next.
It's the Ron Johnson Show, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and it starts now.
Well, now we got a special Hanging with Ron Johnson segment. I got Max Brosmer. Now, this is the quarterback, for you guys that don't know, that transferred to Minnesota as a grad transfer. So could have picked numerous schools, but he picked Minnesota. So, Max, thank you for joining me on the Ron Johnson Show. Special edition interview. We're going to edit it. Why did I say that? 3-2. Here we go. 3-2. Well, now it's time for the Hanging with Ron Johnson segment. I got a special edition with Max Brosmer, quarterback. For those that don't know, transfers to New Hampshire. Everybody's been watching Gopher football knows 3-3 right now, heading to UCLA. But Max could have picked numerous schools after transferring. Why Minnesota?
Yeah, good question. Number one, kind of going through my collegiate career, I kind of heard about what Coach Fleck did at Western Michigan, and kind of, was a spectator from the outside. I got to see the great things he did there with that team, and find out when he came here to Minnesota. It was kind of something I didn't really think about at the time because I was at New Hampshire, right? And my very last year there, the portal became a real thing for me and my family. And I had the opportunity to come visit Minnesota and meet the staff, meet the team, and it was everything I had heard about Coach Fleck, about what he does with his program, his culture, the team that is surrounded around this building was everything that I heard of, and it was very real for me and for my family. And so when I got here, it became very real to be able to come and play for Minnesota.
And I don't know how many Hallmark movies you and your girlfriend watch during the holidays, but there's always like big town or small town kid goes to big city. Mm-hmm. So coming from New Hampshire, heading to Minneapolis, clearly big city. You got all the sports, Twins, Wild, Wolves, Vikings, and you join in this big city atmosphere compared to New Hampshire. What are the biggest differences you've noticed early on?
Yeah, so our town was tiny, Durham, New Hampshire. You could walk from end to end in 15 minutes. And now we're living in a larger city in Minneapolis, and I'm from the Atlanta area, so I have a little bit of feel of what a city's like, but never actually living in the city. And so for Durham, I knew all the small shop owners, I knew all the mom and pop shops, and I had a relationship with those people and the local people who lived in Durham. But now living in a city is a lot different, where you're meeting people every single day you never met before, and you're going trying new restaurants out and trying to see new parts of the city. So it's very different. I think it's a cool transition for me and my family to be able to experience that in a different light and play football in an atmosphere like this, with a new crowd and a new field in the city. So I'm excited about it. I love doing it. I love trying new things and branching things from where I've been. And Minneapolis is the next step for me and my family.
And when you think about choosing Minnesota, so you do that, you come to Minnesota. And then you look at everything else that possibly could happen in the Big Ten, because the Big Ten became 18 teams, and so it wasn't. When I played, it was 11 teams.
Right.
So it's grown 7 teams since it was at 2001. This is the last time I played here. And so when you think about that, coming into the Big Ten, is it everything you expected?
Yeah, number one, I grew up in the Big Ten, right? Both my parents went to Ohio State.
Okay.
So I grew up going to the Ohio State games with my family, and the very last game I saw there was the Ohio State Michigan game when I was younger, and that's the last view I have of the Big Ten, and now I'm actually living it and playing it with this team. And I would say number one, the feel, the atmosphere, away games so far. We played in Michigan, obviously, and that's all real. It feels like the Big Ten of what I used to think about it as, and now it's a bigger conference now. So there's a lot more parity, there's a lot more competition, and so I would say for everybody that plays in the Big Ten, it's a lot different. You're playing new teams. We're playing obviously a West Coast team this weekend. And West Coast teams having to fly out, across the country to play East Coast teams, for example. And so we have, Rutgers and UCLA, Oregon, Washington. You cover the whole country, so it's very different. I think that a lot of people like it. I think it mixes things up a little bit and provides us new faces.
And I had a chance to sit down with Darius Taylor this summer. He's from Detroit, like I'm from Detroit. I know his family. I know the woman there that's been raising him, and grew up with him in the church. And so when you think about, he told me about the trip you guys had. And when you think about you guys going out to Atlanta, you brought all those guys out there. You wanted to be a leader, wanted to be a captain. What was the reason for that, and how'd that go?
Yeah, so we know we had very limited time starting in January. That was something I did in New Hampshire. I brought my receivers down there, my tight ends, my running backs down to my house in Georgia, to do that training and do that off the field stuff together. And I found there's a lot of benefit from that going into that season, and so I decided to do that with my team here. I knew that I had 1 year with this team, and the guys took me in right when I got in. And I was like, hey, like, would you guys, want to do this? Come down to Georgia and train and get out of the facility and go to the lake and hang out at a different spot. And they were all in. And so, number one, it builds off the field chemistry, and we get to utilize that time that we don't really have that much together. And those, that 1 week we had together was, it felt like a couple weeks actually, because we were down there having a fun time. Yeah. And then we all the on the field training stuff too. We had the gym, we had the throwing sessions, we had the mental stuff we did together. That's a lot of fun together, building in a different light together, and mentally, physically, and be able to get out of the facility and spend time together.
And last one before we get out of here, you guys beat USC, upset them. Mm-hmm. Being on the field, winning a game like that, upset number 11. Like I said, I've been there. We beat Ohio State when they were 6. We beat Penn State when they were number 2 in the country. You got a chance to upset number 11. Right. Like, we know what happened in the game, mm-hmm. but after the game, what did that feel like being, interviewed by Justin Guard, just seeing the elation of Coach Fleck in the locker room, your teammates, everything? Like, what was that overall feeling like?
It was pretty surreal. You grow up, grow up watching those games where the crowds, running on the field, and I never got to experience that. And it only happens every few years, right? And most of these people who have been here for a while haven't really got to experience that. Yeah. So being with the team and experience that together was really, really cool. But at the end of the day, I felt like it was the next one for us. I think we were ready. We were prepared. I was really proud of my team for how we played for 60 minutes. And it just felt like a solid win. It did. And I say that with a lot of pride of how we worked that week, worked our tails off coming back from that Michigan game, and it showed in the field with the work we put in, and we got to reap the benefits from that, and that's what happened on the field. We got to be a part of that big crowd rush and be a part of a winning atmosphere in the locker room after the game. Those are the memories you don't forget as a team, and I can't thank the team enough for how hard they worked, and that's what happens when we execute.
Well, you heard from Max Brosmer. Coming up next, we're going to have to see what happens against UCLA. So, Max, good luck this weekend.
Thank you.